Hello, and welcome to this little clip with me and Nadine sharing about her experience of embrace and talking about our shared passion for supporting women and being the light and the voice for women and being the change that we want to see in the world and support them to thrive and have the most beautiful experience of pregnancy and birth that they can have. So, I'd love you to introduce yourself, Nadine, in any way you'd like, and share how you came across Embrace and just a
hmm
little bit about what that was like for you.
Yep. So I'm a mom of two, and obviously I'm Nadine. And I've got two little boys, a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. So I had my babies very close together and two home births. And I myself am a baby of a home birth. So even way back in the 80s when I was born, my mom had me at home. And so me, like going into my pregnancies, I was very clear that I wanted a natural birth and that I wanted a home birth. And going through my pregnancies, I was planning and prepping and navigating things. And so I suppose I've been very much deep in the world of babies and pregnancy for about 5 years now. And yeah, just really passionate about it. And then I met Aisling because we were both kind of working online in the same sphere. And I joined her Embrace so that we could be in the same zone for a little while.
Right. And we were talking earlier about how it was Embrace, the experience of doing Embrace was so supportive for you because it was something you would have really benefited from. So maybe could you speak a little bit to that?
hmm Yeah, so I've worked a lot on really thinking about what it was that was missing for me for my pregnancies and my births and after the births. And that's something that's really stayed with me. It's probably been the most like one of the, if not the most life-changing thing experience was the pregnancies and the births, and really like coming to full consciousness and awareness of what's really not there for mothers and humans. And the whole experience was so huge for me. And me being somebody who came from a holistic background with a very specific and clear vision and the confidence to carry that out and still to find myself in what I would describe as like a very empty, empty space with no support, that just didn't feel sacred and held at all in any way through the pregnancies, the births, and after. And then coming into Embrace with all of that in my head, it really was very clearly the space that I wish I would have had during that time. The acknowledgement within the space of emotions and the sacredness and the specialness of pregnancy, because you can end up feeling just like a number in a file in a hospital, in a waiting room. It's like number 75, please come for your pregnancy checkup. But for every woman dreaming of being pregnant and having a baby is so special. And so to enter a space like the space that Ashlyn created, that you created, um, just where it was acknowledged how exciting and special and just openly talking about the sacredness and all the different holistic and wholesome ways. Yeah,
Oh,
really,
thank
really
you.
lovely feeling of being held. I wish
And
I'd had that.
yeah, I'm curious how, yeah, did you realize at the time or when you were pregnant or hoping to become pregnant, like on that journey and through birth and postpartum, did you know what you were missing or was it much later that you realized this? Or did you feel, how did that feel to be on that path? Did you feel supported? Or,
I think it was probably later.
yeah.
Um, and that's something I've reflected on a lot was why didn't I become aware of it and why didn't I search more for more support, especially in my first pregnancy. My second pregnancy, I was more aware, but still probably nowhere near as aware I am now. And so, yeah, I think I was just getting through it. And
Mm.
probably one of the biggest things that stuck with me was constantly feeling uncomfortable and unsupported and going, why does this not feel as magical and exciting and sacred as I had always expected? And is there something wrong with me that I feel this bad after waiting in the hospital for however many hours or after my checkups? And so I guess it's a little bit like, I don't know if this is the wrong tangent to bring, but it's a little bit like if you've never experienced a certain type of love or care, then you don't necessarily know it exists.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to realize, oh, there is something more.
Yeah.
And yeah, piecing those two pieces has taken a few years.
And women are feeling this. You know, almost every woman that I've spoken to, and women love to tell you about their births, um, it's been awful and traumatic, and they felt so alone and misunderstood and not listened
Mhm.
to. And then afterwards, there was no acknowledgement of how disturbing that experience was for them or unsupportive that was for them.
Yeah.
Um, so the reason I'm saying this is because as I listen to you, I'm wondering how, yeah, you didn't know. Like it sounds like you had a sense, like you're just getting through, but you didn't know what it was that you were missing. But then you realized after, just through, I suppose, yeah, like you said, figuring, opening your eyes to different things, I suppose, throughout your life. But then maybe just in motherhood, like it sounds like what you were looking for was actually other women. And from doing Embrace, holding it, and maybe for me participating in it, most of the feedback was just, I loved listening to other women and them being there and like their experience and how much strength that gave me and inspiration and confidence, along
Yeah.
with just education about birth. But
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like you were missing that.
And also, I would say even more than that, the the atmosphere and what's the word? The perspective that you have and the group that you create in Embrace has. So the whole of Embrace has a view of women and human beings and pregnancy and birth from a spiritual and sacred point of view. It's not looking at it from a clinical medical point of view. And so having a group of women in a space. So first of all, yes, the women just being in a group with other women and being able to share real human being stories as a woman in a safe space is just heaven and healing. But also having that space run by someone who isn't looking at it as clinical birth prep or confidence prep or mind prep. Any of them, it's a sacred preparation.
Mm.
It allows you to really feel accepted for everything that you are as a human being and to really like rejoice in the joy and the excitement of what it is to be pregnant and have a baby. And that's something that for me just was so missing. And I think that for so many people, so many women, is so disappointing and kind of heartbreaking. So that's definitely what I took from
Oh.
Embrace was that.
Oh, thank you so much. To receive that is just so amazing to me because yeah, it's hard to describe what it is that I'm doing sometimes. And like I have the heading of like what embrace is or when I write a description about it, but I think how you said that was so perfect because I'm not coming at it from, you know, even the educational part of it is quite, it's there, but it's not, it's more about us gathering together, us like connecting to what we feel as true, like a space for women to come and say, this is what I want, this is what I'm feeling inside me for my birth. Or yeah, like we do a meditation about your birth visualization and just connecting to your sacred feminine wisdom. And sometimes people might think that sounds so woo woo, but it's actually just so natural when you start tuning in and looking at life from this lens of a spiritual lens, because birth is a mystery and birth is so magical and beautiful,
Mhm.
and nobody has all the answers. and it's your experience. So, just from my experience of training and being with women, when they go into this experience fully equipped with like the knowledge of about birth and what to expect, but also the faith and confidence in themselves, they're so much more likely to have an amazing, empowering experience because they're not outsourcing in places that aren't really nourishing at all. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Having a space to actually be a human being, I know that sounds so simple,
yeah,
but it's definitely something that upon reflection of my experiences, like even through the home birth system, it was a public home birth through the HSE. No matter how hard the home birth midwives tried, they were still within the system and we were still connected to the hospital. So it was all set upon the ground of clinical medical. It wasn't set on the ground of a human experience.
yeah.
And so, um,
I
what was I
think.
saying? Uh, Yeah,
Sorry, no. I was just gonna say. I think what you mean, right? Correct me if I'm wrong,
yeah,
but about like being like a space to be a human being, a space where you can bring your fears, bring your all of your thoughts and worries
yeah,
in a kind of casual, loving, also very rich space of women that have gone through this before you, or
yeah,
asking even the guest speakers that have come in, like hearing their story from a human perspective, not like a hierarchy or of like I'm the doctor, I know what is best.
yeah. Yes, and like it's funny because there's so much talk about pregnancy and birth in different ways, but the I guess the simplest thing comparing being in embrace and like if I had been pregnant when I joined Embrace, which I wish I was, having a space to be like again human centered, woman centered about it rather than medical centered. Two pregnancies in 2 years I had, and every single appointment, it was never ever about me. It was always a clinical checkup. Let's check your bloods. How are you feeling? But it wasn't how are you feeling as a human. It was how many times a day are you going to the bathroom? What are you eating? Do you feel sick? Are
Mm.
your ankles swollen? How are the
Mm.
movements? So it was never how are
Like
you as a
emotional
woman.
support.
It was ne you couldn't bring that in. And so it really separated me from my whole self and my well-being as a mom with a baby in my body, preparing for the birth. And even the preparations for the birth were the same. It was very medical centered. It was very centered on the techniques and the strategies, but not really on prepping the human being, the actual
Mm.
woman. So
Yeah.
that's really a huge contrast between sitting in embrace and being the whole woman.
Oh, the
Yeah.
last question I have for you is I'm curious if you did any of the other birth preparation workshops or programs when you
Um,
were pregnant and comparing that to Embrace, or
I
did you not?
did what was it? It was the gentle birth. I did 1 day gentle birth course um, during my first pregnancy. That was very, very different. It was just completely different, but interesting given the name because again, it was probably the best course I did throughout. It was the best thing I had done during my two pregnancies, but it was again very centered on technique and mindset.
Mm.
Um, it was based on a gentle birth in terms of birthing gently,
Mm.
but how to prepare that with your mind and your body and your techniques. Again, much more focused on getting you through to have the birth that you wanted, but again, not really about holding the whole
Mm.
woman and
And if you
bringing it
think
all
about
in.
it, it's 1 day.
It was only 1 day.
How could it be that?
Yeah,
Like 6 weeks is like a very solid space, and there's options to continue support as well
yeah,
after that. But it really is. Yeah, you mentioned earlier when you were speaking, like a holding space for women. and
I
a,
don't
a
believe that
growing
there
space.
are any others, really, Aisling. In Ireland, there's certainly not any physical, like, meet in person ones. And yours is probably the first one I've heard of online that's an actual consistent getting like a weekly one rather than just a birth circle that's held once. I had attended one birth circle and that was it. But it's different when it's bunch of strangers and it's it's one time in the 9 months. So I think yours is probably the only one that I'd heard of. And having been in it, it just couldn't be more needed.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm so glad we had this chat. And yeah, I am one of these pioneers, for women. And I'm just following that and following my heart. And that's all you can do, in my opinion, in this life. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. And if anyone has any questions, please reach out to me and I will tag Nadine as well in the show notes so you can follow her and check out her life and her story and everything she does. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Ashling.